Hello guys, good morning. How are you today? So I hope you're all fine. Welcome back to our discussions again. Now, in these occasions, we are going to talk about negative sentence and question. Well, let's get started. Last meeting, we have talked about several tenses, right? Including simple present, simple past, simple future. After that, present continuous, past continuous, and then present perfect, past perfect. So there are 7 tenses that we have discussed, especially in what is that, positive sentence or affirmative sentence. And then now we are going to discuss negative sentence and question or interrogative. But before we look one by one in constructing negative sentence and question, let's see general informations about affirmative, negative, and question. Well, in English, verbs come in 3 main categories. Okay, the affirmative, the negative, and interrogative. The affirmative means asserting that something is true or valid atau kalimat positif ya. And negative, a reply denying something or you need to put not in a sentence. Meanwhile, in interrogative, you need, if you want to ask a questions. Okay, let's see the example in these slides. As you can see here in this passage, technology gives students immediate access to abundance of quality informations, which leads to learning at a much quicker rate than before. The internet provides a variety of knowledge and doesn't limit students to one person's opinion. Well, you see here I have bold the verbs here. This is positive sentence, and now want to change the verb into negative sentence. So before you want to change the verb to be a negative sentence, you need to see ini tenses apa, okay? So ini ada tambahan s ya di ujungnya. It means that simple present. Simple present, when you want to make the sentence negative, you need to use does or do. It depends on the subject. But in this case, technology is third singular person, it. So technology doesn't give students immediate access to abundance of quality informations, which leads to learning at a much quicker rate than before. After that, the internet provides-nya diganti doesn't provide. Okay, that's the simple examples. Now let's see one by one in each tense. Okay, the first one, simple present tense. We have talked about the definitions of each tense, right? But let me repeat it again. So when you want to make a sentence using simple present, you need to know, okay, this tense indicates an actions which happen in the present or talk about the habitual actions and then the general truths or the fact, right? So for instance, in affirmative sentence atau kalimat positif, the express train always arrives on time. Okay, I have written the tense here, simple present. But if you see the sentence, okay, you need to see how can you identify the tense. Ini tenses apa sih? You have to see, okay, you have to see the verb. Jadi setelah melihat verbnya, kalian bisa identify atau keywordsnya apa sih di tenses ini, oke? Kalau di sini kan kita bisa melihat nih, the express train always. Always ini berarti simple present. Verbnya itu ditambah s or es, berarti itu third singular persons. For negative, you need to use does. Oke, di sini saya sudah tulis do or does. Jadi kalau dia she, he, it, you need to use does. Negatifnya, the express train doesn't always arrive on time. Meanwhile, in the interrogative, put does-nya ini ke depan, pindah ya. Does the express train always arrive on time? So, interrogative di sini yes, no question. Yes, no question itu hanya membutuhkan jawaban yes atau no. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. Jadi, it does itu diletakkan di depan itu ya. Does the express train always arrive on time? Jadi jawabannya tergantung pertanyaannya, apakah do or does. Do you like noodles for example? No, I don't. Yes, I do. So in other words, kalau mau buat interrogative sentence, di auxiliary harus di depan ya. Auxiliary-nya itu apa aja, Miss? It can be do, does, okay, was, were, or is, am, are. It depends on the tense, okay? Now let's go to WH question. WH question itu bisa when, why, who, what, where, how. Okay, so tergantung. It depends on you. Which one do you want to use? Pertanyaan apa yang akan kalian gunakan? When you want to ask time, you need to use when. Why, reason, who, people, what, the informations, where, places. Okay, so as you can see here in the example, kita masih tetap menggunakan kalimat sebelumnya ya. Does the express train always arrive on time? Nah, di sini Miss mau tanya menggunakan when. When does the express train always arrive? That's using WH question. Di sini Miss mau menanyakan waktu. So, if you can see in affirmative, negative, interrogative, and WH question, kalian lihat nih kata kerjanya, apa perbedaan di affirmative, negative, interrogative, and WH question. If you can analyze ya, kata kerjanya di sini hanya di kalimat positifnya saja using s or es kalau untuk third singular person. In negative interrogative WH question, dia akan kembali ke verb pertama atau base verb. Remember that. Well, let's move on to the second tense. Okay, simple past tense. Simple past tense, we talk about completed actions. It has already happened in the past. Okay. For instance, in affirmative, she watched Avenger movies with me last night. Remember, in simple past tense, untuk kalimat positif atau affirmative, dia menggunakan verb to, okay? And you can give additional informations atau adverb time-nya bisa last night, 2 days ago, atau yesterday. And then for negative interrogative WH question itu ada kata did ya. Oke, itu menandakan kalau dia simple past tense. Kalau di simple present using do and does, simple past tense using did. Look at the negative sentence. She didn't watch Avenger movies with me last night. Okay, didn't watch. Watchnya back again to the base verb. And then interrogative, did she watch Avenger movies with me last night? Yes, she did. No, she didn't. Jadi did-nya ke depan ya, auxiliary-nya kalau untuk yes no question. After that, WH question, Miss di sini pakai what? What did she watch with you last night? Ya. Jadi di kalimat positifnya dia menggunakan verb 2, sedangkan di negative, interrogative, WH questions back again to the base verb. Oke, verb pertama. Next, simple future tense. This tense is used to refer to actions or states that begin and end in the future. Let's take a look at the example. In simple future, you can use will or be going to, okay? After will, you need to use verb 1. In affirmative, for example, technology using artificial intelligence will dominate the world in 2030. Meanwhile, in negative, you just need to put not, okay, after will. Technology using artificial intelligence will not dominate the world in 2030. Jadi di sini kalau kalian lihat di positifnya will dominate. Kalau di negatif will not dominate. Jadi verbnya tidak berubah, hanya kalian taruh atau put not, okay, after will. Meanwhile in interrogative, back again, I remind you about this. Auxiliary pindah ke depan ya, will-nya. Will technology using artificial intelligence dominate the world in 2030? Yes, it will. No, it will not. Okay? And then WH question. WH questionnya taruh di depan setelah sebelum auxiliary. When will, okay? When will technology using artificial intelligence dominate the world? Now we come to number 4, present continuous tense. Continuous, ingat, kalau ada kata continuous itu pasti sedang berlangsung. Apakah berlangsungnya sekarang, apakah in the past, atau in the future. So, in this case, we talk about sekarang ya, present continuous tense. So, it is used to show that an ongoing action is happening now. Kejadian yang sedang berlangsung sekarang. Penanda waktunya atau adverb of time-nya ada now, at the moment, okay, right now. That's present continuous tense. And kalau ngomongin tentang continuous, pasti dia menggunakan verb ing, okay? Hanya perbedaannya di to be. In present continuous, to be-nya is mr plus verb ing, okay? For example, affirmative. My sister is learning augmented reality system at this moment. Negatifnya tinggal tambahin not aja. My sister is not learning bla bla bla. Meanwhile in interrogative, auxiliary-nya is-nya pindah ke depan. Is my sister learning augmented reality system at this moment? Ya, jawabannya karena yes no question hanya yes she is. No she is not. WH question, misalnya di sini mau pakai what. What is my sister learning at this moment? Ya. Well, we come to the number 5, past continuous tense. Past continuous tense is used to say that somebody was in the middle of doing something in the past. Ini masih continuous ya, using verb ing. Tetapi perbedaannya dengan present continuous, to be-nya was, were, okay? Was itu untuk I, okay, she, he, it, were, they, we, you. For example, while I was writing the email, okay, the computer suddenly went off. Negative, while I was not writing the email, the computer suddenly went off. Di sini dia untuk affirmative-nya I was writing. Untuk negatif hanya ditambahin not. Untuk verb you don't need to change ya, tetap verb ing. Mau dia positif, negatif, interrogative, dia tetap menggunakan to be, was, were, and verb ing. And then for interrogative, were you writing the email when the computer suddenly went off? Ya, were ya kalau untuk you-nya. WH question, what were you writing when the computer suddenly went off? That's the examples. By the way, in past continuous tense, you can use while and when, yeah, because in past continuous, it's to explain that somebody was in the middle of doing something in the past. So, what's the difference between present continuous and past continuous? Miss, ini kan sedang berlangsung. Bedanya apa, Miss? Ya, so untuk present continuous, that's happening now, sekarang. Sekarang Miss ngapain? I'm explaining the materials. Tapi kalau Miss ngomongin tentang kemarin, Miss kemarin Miss ngapain pas saya telepon atau WA? Nah, itu kan kemarin. Sedang ngapain? Itu berarti kita menggunakan past continuous. What were you doing yesterday, Miss? Kayak gitu ya perbedaannya. Now, present perfect tense. Kalau ngomongin perfect itu pasti verb 3 ya. Sudah terjadi. It is used to express completed action in the past. Tetapi bedanya apa, Miss, dengan past tense? Past tense juga talking about completed actions. Ya, perbedaannya in simple past you have to mention the adverb of time atau waktunya jelas ya di situ. 2 days ago, last month, last year. But in present perfect tense, you don't need to mention the time. The exact time is not important. So let's take a look at the example. I have finished my work. Okay, di sini dia sudah menyelesaikan pekerjaannya, tetapi nggak tahu kita kapan dia selesainya itu. Apakah tadi pagi atau kemarin? Ya. For negative, I haven't finished my work. Di sini dia menggunakan verb 3 ya. Ingat, untuk present perfect, for affirmative, negative, interrogative, and then WH question itu tetap menggunakan have, has, plus verb 3. Oke, nggak usah diganti-ganti. In interrogative, have you finished your work? Sudahkah kamu menyelesaikan pekerjaanmu? Ya, itu untuk interrogative. Yes, I have. No, I have not. The last one, past perfect. Okay, it expresses an activity that was completed before the activity or the time in the past. Miss, ini maksudnya gimana, Miss? Sudah selesai sebelum waktu atau kegiatan yang lain in the past. So, jadi kayak gini. Misalnya kemarin nih atau tadi pagi, kalian mandi dulu atau sarapan dulu. Apa yang kamu kerjakan terlebih dahulu? Misalnya kamu mandi dulu, terus baru sarapan. Nah, itu kan sama-sama kejadian yang sudah terjadi kedua-duanya. Tetapi yang mana yang terlebih dahulu? Mandi dulu. Nah, mandi dulu itulah yang kalian gunakan sebagai past perfect-nya. Terus simple past-nya itu di pas sarapan ya. Let's see another example ya. Kalau di past perfect itu had plus verb 3. Ingat, kalau di present perfect dia have, has plus verb 3. Past perfect had plus verb 3. For example, affirmative. They had arrived in New York before it got dark. Jadi past perfect ini biasanya pasangannya simple past. Jadi dia sudah sampai dulu ke New York sebelum before it got dark, sebelum hari gelap ya. Jadi sampai dulu baru hari gelap. For negative tinggal put not ya. They had not arrived in New York before it got dark. Interrogative auxiliary-nya pindah ke depan. Had they arrived in New York before it got dark? Yes, they had. No, they had not. WH question, pindah ini WH questionnya di depan, baru setelah itu kalimat auxiliary dan kalimat setelahnya ya. When they arrived in New York. Okay then? So ini juga sama ya dengan tensi sebelumnya, affirmative, interrogative, and so on, itu verbnya tidak berubah, verb 3. Okay then? Well, we come to the end of our discussions. Now let me repeat it again and conclude about our materials that we have discussed. As you can see, when we want to change the affirmative sentence to be negative sentence, we need to put auxiliary, okay, in front of a sentence. The auxiliary can be is, MR, was, were, do, does, have, had, and so on. And for WH question, ditambahin aja di depannya who, what, where, and why, and etc. Well, I think that's all. I hope that you can understand about our materials today. Thank you and have a nice day. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.